Gentleman from Tennessee yields back. Gentlewoman from Michigan, Ms. Tlaib, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, the question is, how can you address a problem that you can't see? So one longstanding issue, and I know I feel like maybe some of my colleagues have brought it up, is documented in both the 2020 Inspector General Report and the Cleary Report, was the lack of centralized database tracking and documenting harassment claims and the investigations at the FDIC. And before, I think, 2020, the internal records were maintained in like a hard copy file system held by specific individuals there and stored electronically in FDIC's, what they call the Corporate Human Resources Information System, CRIS. So from 2008 to 2021, the CRIS system documented only 2 cases. From 2008 to 2021, the CRIS system documented only 2 cases of sexual harassment and just 7 cases of harassment. Mr. Kim and Ms. Mayno, given that 2009 Office of Inspector General survey found that 8% of FDIC respondents had experienced sexual harassment from 2015 to 2019, is there any reason to believe that CRIS database records from 08 to 2021 were complete or accurate?
There's no reason to believe that the CRIS database was complete.
Okay. In terms of tracking workplace misconduct, how would you characterize the FDIC's data collection and management practices for both of you?
Currently,
Yes.
we understand that the group within the Human Resources Division at the FDIC, within the Division of Administration, has taken steps more recently to improve centralized and systematic record keeping. In the past year, we
Is this
understand.
based on their action plan? Is this?
No, this actually predates the action plan.
Okay.
We understand that in the past year, that group specifically has introduced a system that now tracks different types of interpersonal misconduct so that it allows the FDIC to identify sexual harassment, for example, compared to hostile work environment, and also identifies whether misconduct falls under the FDIC's anti-harassment program, which the records before did not do.
So, and I'm not rolling my eyes at you, it's just really bizarre that they would do it. So FDIC's December 2023 action plan, Mr. So, one of the stated goals was to, quote, enhance the centralized tracking system for monitoring sexual harassment claims. The projected completion of this was February 29th of this year. So either Mr. McKernan or Mr. Sue, has this action item been successfully completed? If so, what specific steps were taken to improve the FDIC's ability to track misconduct?
I'm not aware of whether it's actually completed, and even if we're saying it's completed, I won't believe it until I see some independent validation that it's completed.
So I agree with Director McKiernan. The completion of the action plan for that particular database, it's only going to work if people feel safe to report. And
There's
that's
no
really,
trust.
that's the fundamental
Makes
thing that
sense.
needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I actually talked to him about that. People have lost a lot of trust. So staying on the topic of collecting and tracking information, 2021 Office of Inspector General report found that FDIC does not have a systematic or process for collecting, right, or analyzing employee retention data, for instance. According to the Cleary report, FDIC revised its retention tracking process in 2023. So either Mr. Sue or Mr. McKernan, what is FDIC's current process tracking retention records, employee retention records? Anybody know?
So my understanding is that there are projects to improve these. Again, I think, but as board members, our focus is we really need to change both structure
No,
and
Mr.
culture.
Sue, because I know when people start leaving, right, something's wrong. Like, you know how you know? So I'm trying to figure out what percentage of employees who leave the FDIC complete exit surveys. What are we doing there? Because that can always help with indicating whether or not there's a pattern of sexual harassment, there is something wrong, there's, getting to the root cause of turnover, whatever you want to call it. Again, we're talking about retention and how important exit interviews are.
Yes. I believe that's been identified in the report as something that needs to be improved as part of the action plan in concert with these other steps. They all have to move together.
But they are doing exit interviews right now.
have to get back to you. We have to get back to you on that.
You don't do exit interviews right now?
I don't want to misspeak.
Okay.
I want to make sure we get back to.
That's really important. And especially in such a large organization right now, especially, oh, yep, thank you, Mr. Chair, I yield.